Well, it's good to get together again finally. It seems like it's been a long time since we had a chance to get together and talk more football. It's football season again, spring ball 2017. Really feel like our kids are excited to get this thing cranked up again. I think as a football coach, it's always exciting to start a new year. You've got new weapons, new toys. I think there's a lot of question marks about who we are and what we're going to be, and who's going to fill the spots for some great players that you guys saw at the NFL Combine last week. I think there's some interesting competition that will come out of this spring, and our kids are, I think, excited as the coaches. So I think that's a positive. I think the culture we've got going on right now, the enthusiasm from our players is at a high level. And I really can't wait to get started tomorrow morning with that first practice. Fourth quarter workouts have been really good. You guys, I guess, didn't ask to come this year, so EJ didn't invite you. Wasn't my fault. I got to blame EJ. But after it was all said and done, someone said something like, "Hey, why didn't we get to come to workouts again?" I was like, "Oh, I forgot." But remember, if you had something you were able to do in the past, make sure you remind EJ, and we'll always get that hooked up. But I've had some people say they didn't want to come anyway. They were glad because they felt like if Jerry would go, they all have to come at 6 o'clock in the morning. So, but we had some great workouts. We hope our kids are bigger, faster, and stronger. Health-wise, I think we're probably back to about 95%. You're never fully healthy coming into spring ball. Still dealing with some things from last fall. You guys know I don't talk a whole lot about injuries. You'll probably see some things at practice and go, "Oh, okay." But you won't report on those, so that's appreciated here. Just like to keep that in-house, for those kids' sake. But we're about 95%, and again, who knows what you're going to be after practice one? You could be back down to 80 real quick. But I feel pretty good about where we are there, health-wise. We've got 14 seniors in this class. I think 11 of them are on scholarship, so we really have a small group. I think we're looking for new leaders is one of the things that we come into spring ball, looking for who are those new guys, those new leaders that are going to, continue to lead your program. And, our seniors sit up in front. We had some great seniors across this front, and I'm looking forward to watching them on Pro Day next Wednesday. If you guys didn't know that already, I sure hope you knew that. But, these guys, I can almost picture them. Biz Nawadi stood down there, Nathan Peterman, that's his seat right there. And, Reggie Mitchell was right there. I mean, so, those are guys you miss. Now we got new guys moving into those seats, and the leadership that we had last year was pretty strong. And that'll probably be the biggest role that you have to fill is those guys. So I don't want to talk all day, but those are some, hot points, I guess, I wanted to hit you with, and then really talk about what you guys want to talk about. So with that, we'll open it up for some questions.
What's the leadership? Do you have a sense for who might be some of those guys?
Well, yeah, I won't mention it. We have our leadership council that, as soon as we came back and started the second semester, we had guys vote on it, and we'll vote on it again here probably halfway through spring ball or even earlier than that. But we have some leaders that have, shown through, but I think it's still early in the process. We don't really need to find captains or anything until fall, and it's something we're developing. I mean, I don't think there's some guys like I'll mention Jeremiah Taleni. I mean, he just comes so far; it's unbelievable. The kid's really become a leader. I'm watching him in winter workouts coach up the young guys. I mean, that's when you start to see it. I'm not saying he's a captain. You can we'll find out in August or September, but right now you kind of look at him like what happened to you. He's made some major strides in that. I always look at your quarterback and your middle linebacker as two guys that are leaders, because they are really talking every play to your football team. And obviously with Nathan Peterman gone, you lost a major leader there. With Matt Galambos gone, he sat right there. We'll miss Matt. And he was a major leader, whether he was a captain or a game captain. He was a guy that was that led our defense. So those are two major guys and voices that our players are used to hearing every day. So those are some voids that we're looking for.
You've
Excited to see the group of redshirt freshmen, see how far they've come, since August.
I'm excited to see everybody. I mean, it's amazing how, and again, those are the greenest players you have. But I'm excited to see everybody. It's a whole new year. Sometimes, I've seen some guys that were voted as the worst scout team players ever, okay? And, that are playing in the NFL right now, okay? And you kind of, it's all that attitude that you talk about up there. And, we've laughed like we think he's pretty good. He's good for us. What do you guys do to him when he goes down the other end? So the worst scout team player ever, is, going on his third year in the NFL, maybe fourth year. And that's okay. I mean, so all those redshirt freshmen, we're going to find out what we really have. They come in, they get put to scout field, and they're kind of going like, golly, and you don't really see what they have. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those guys have. But, there's a lot of guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what the new Dane Jackson's going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing what McVitie's going to do, Janucci's going to do. All those guys. What's Moss going to do? What's Quadri Olson going to do? I mean, Quadri Olson, you watch him in winter workouts. He is 100% different from what he was a year ago. He was feeling good after being rookie of the year. He goes in the spring, it was just okay, but he's a different dude out there right now. He knows the door's open, and he looks like he's ready to grab it. So that's, so there's all kinds of guys. I mean, I could go on and on. About guys that I'm excited to see. So there's a ton of guys that we're all excited to watch.
How's Max Brown fitting in? Just getting here early and now adjusting to the Pitt.
You know what? He lives on the south side. I think he walks to work in the morning right here. He's in grad school. He's doing well. He's an intelligent kid. I think you guys talk with him. I think you can get that feeling. He's fitting in great. To say he's a leader yet, I think it's so hard to come in as a transfer, because I did it, and be a guy that someone says, hey, he's the leader. But as a quarterback, he better be, whoever our quarterback's going to be. And I'm not saying he's the guy. There's a lot of competition at that quarterback spot. I feel like we've got 4 guys that are going to compete at quarterback. We didn't have that competition a year ago. And even if Nathan was back this year, there'd still be competition. We didn't have that a year ago. We had, really one guy, and just hoping he stayed healthy. And, when he didn't in the bowl game, and we saw what happened. So Coach Watson's developing those guys here in the offseason. They're in quarterback camp here through since Coach Watson's got here, and we're trying to develop and have ourselves a couple, 2 or 3. It'd be nice to have 2 or 3 guys that you felt like, wow, we can win football games with. But we're excited about Max. I think he's fit in well. I think the kids like him. He's a quiet leader. He just comes to work every day, and he's been great in the weight room, and he works. He's not like one of those guys that thinks he's already done it and earned it, and he deserves to be the guy. And that's, I think, what's special about him.
What are you going to do about building some competition at tight end? Have a lot of bodies there.
We don't have a lot of bodies there. We got a lot of bodies coming in. Okay, I wish they were coming in mid-year, but maybe we'll play with 5 wideouts. I don't know. When you talk about our offense, people always talk, about where our offense was a year ago, where is it now, where was it 2 years ago. Your offensive philosophy, develops based on who your people are. So I'm glad you asked that question, Jerry. So if you don't have a lot of tight ends and you build your offense around maybe a lot of tailbacks. So we're going to put our best personnel on the field. We're going to do what our personnel does, Will our offense look exactly like it did last year? I hope points-wise it does, but structurally it'll be different. It's always going to be different. I think anytime you bring in a new coordinator, we're going to try to, get him to do some things that we did in the past, but there's going to be some terminology that changes, some structure that changes, and I think I'd be handcuffing an offense coordinator to say he's going to come in and, hey, I want you to do exactly, what we did in the past. So.
Can you move anybody into that position to give Clark a break once in a while?
Clark ain't getting a break. He needs as many reps as he can get. We got DeAndre Schifino. There's some movement that we could make. We got some other things up our sleeves too. But there's some, we're going to find out, and that's what you do spring ball for. We'll have some experiments for sure. You may see some of you guys look close enough when you come out there pre-practice. And see some of the experiment going on. But that's what spring ball's for. We're not trying to beat anybody. We don't have to beat anybody on the, I guess it was the 22nd was spring game?
The
15th, that's right. We moved it a couple times, sorry. 15th. So April 15th, so we don't have to beat anybody. on that day. So we'll have some movement, but no, it's definitely a concern. That's why we've got a class of guys that, figure if you take 3, at least one of them is going to come in and play, right? We can't count on all 3 of them, but we'll have some tight ends. One way or another, we're gonna build some.
How do you feel about the competition and the depth on the offensive line now going into spring?
I feel good at all competition wherever it is, but there's going to be, I can't say we're going to be as deep as we were. I mean, you lose, Dorian Johnson and Biz Navati, you lose 2 very good football players there, and we got to replace those guys. So I really feel good with what that first group will look like, and we'll just continue to build depth. That's why they call us coach. It's our job to get those guys ready to go. We got to get some young guys ready, and we're going to find out about that.
Would you anticipate working with keeping Alex off a certain center, or would you bring him in the guard and
We'll do a little bit of both. I mean, we're going to find out who they are, but there'll be some type of combination. We can do that. We did that last year, so it's. But you could see Alex moving to some guard and Dantino up. You can see Dantino to guard too, and Alex staying at center. So it's really find out where our best 5 guys are. That's the goal. As we talk in our staff meetings, is finding the best 5 linemen, the best 4 DBs, the 3 best linebackers. It doesn't matter if there's 3 Mikes or 3 Moneys. We're going to find the 3 or 4 or 5 best people and put the best 11 on the field we can. And if it's not tight end personnel, maybe we won't just be a no tight end. We can still do our same stuff that we'd like to do offensively without a tight end. Put a tackle out there. So.
On the defensive line, you're going to replace 3 starters and you have a new position coach. Is that kind of an opportunity for some of the guys that have been there a little bit to have, everybody sort of starts over in the eyes of Coach Partridge this spring?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's a good visual. It's a good visual to say, Coach Partridge is coming in and everybody gets a fresh start. But I would hope that you have that feeling in every room. I hope the linebackers are going, hey, it's a fresh start. It's a new year. Because it is. I think you got to start fresh. What you did last year doesn't matter. Just like during the season, what you did last week in that game doesn't really matter. It doesn't carry over. Nobody's giving you credit going into the next game that, you made 15 tackles or you had 10 pancake blocks. It doesn't matter what you did the week before. It doesn't matter what you did last season. So I think it's really open season in every room. It's going to be open season. I mean, I think it always is. I think you have to have that. If guys start to feel comfortable in a position thinking, well, Coach Harley's still a linebacker coach, so I'm good. Don't be too good, Don't feel too good. Andre Powell was here a year ago. Quadri Olson was feeling pretty good a year ago. Coach Powell was back. Guess what? We're going to play the best players at whatever position. I don't care if they're scholarship guys or walk-ons. We're going to play the best.
Speaking of the D-line, is Hendricks back practicing this spring?
He is. He's part of that 95%. Is he 100% healthy? Probably not. Again, and our goal as coaches, and Coach Andrews and our strength staff does a great job, of really just, designing the strength program that we don't beat up our guys down there. He knows where the weaknesses are, and what Dwayne Hendricks does, maybe Juan Price didn't do in the weight room, or a Rory Blair, whoever it may be. So everything's a little bit different. So, he's not 100%, but he's good enough to go out there and practice and take reps, and we'll but we don't want to throw him out there and think he's 100% and beat him up to the point where you guys walk out the next day and he's got a pink jersey on. So we don't want to do that. So we just got to be careful with some of those guys. Most important is getting to September with all our guys.
Move size to the other side.
He's 245 pounds, I think. I mean, golly, his dad better watch out. He might whoop his butt. But he's getting big. We're just trying to, he's a football player, and, he started, I think a lot of people forget he started the season last year against Youngstown. He was a starter. He was in the top 11 guys. He's a football player, and he's still got a long way to go. He doesn't have those game reps, but we're trying to put our best players in the game, and he's a guy right now with, Galambo's gone and Caprera gone, Bam Bradley gone. You lost 3, you talk about 3 D linemen. But we lost 3 pretty good linebackers too, that had a lot, played a lot of football games here. So we're younger there, and we're, it's wide open. It's gonna be a fun spring.
Have you seen Jay Stalker and Bryson Gardner kind of step up, kind of the way Quadri did in the offseason? To kind of
They have, and we'll just it's all, can you cover them? You can look good in in fourth quarter workouts and in the weight room. But they both, you really saw it in bowl season. And now they're bigger, hopefully stronger, faster, more confident. I mean, I think a lot of times you forget about those guys. They feel like, hey, I got a, they're in that room going, hey, I got a shot. I sure hope they do. They see Reggie, Reggie's gone and Webb's gone, so they got to be thinking, hey, with T. Webb gone and Reggie gone, I got a shot too. So they're feeling like it's open season.
You said you have guys you'll be smart with, and kind of be careful about. Do you have any guys that you know for sure not to practice this spring?
Do I normally talk about that?
I'll defer to you, Coach.
I don't know. I want to stay consistent. The one guy I could tell you right now that that we're going to be careful with, and he really looks good, and you'll see him walking around is Darren Hall. That's the one I'll just talk about. The guy that played in the bowl game, and he had an injury, and he's not back 100% yet, and he might be back to 90%, but we're not doing that. So Darren would be the one guy that's going to get a lot of learning in the classroom, but will not go out there and risk any injuries this spring.
Whitehead's healthy enough to practice after that.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Anybody in the big off-season in strength and conditioning lines that kind of, got into it?
We haven't got those numbers yet. Usually we do that in the fall to give you a lot of numbers, but we haven't really tested them. But they look good. I mean, I think when you watch them, I mean, we just seems that every year we get in that weight room, we start to look like a better football team when you walk out of there. Their arms, their shoulders, their necks, their legs. Got some good-looking guys. They look good.
Being a defensive guy, how much do you personally want to work on defense this spring? How much is that an emphasis?
Everything's an emphasis. Scoring points is an emphasis, and keeping people off the scoreboard is an emphasis. So, as a defensive guy, I'd say there's a little bit more emphasis there. I mean, I want to get it right. I want our players to, play at a high level, and I think anytime there's one side of the ball that the head coaches, from that side that you look at that and want to get it fixed. I think regardless of what happened, I go back to we played some pretty good quarterbacks. You look at the combine and some of the guys that ran at the combine, threw at the combine, and we played some good players last year in the ACC conference and really non-conference. When you look at, non-conference, the Rudolph kid out of Oklahoma State, he was a good football player. I mean, we played some legitimate guys. Can't believe he's coming back. I thought someone would talk him into saying he's going to be a first rounder, make a lot of money, $20 million signing bonus. But so, they get to come to Hines next year.
How big of a deal is it for what's going on with the guys that you talked about graduated, and the fact that there's a good chance you're going to have 5, possibly 6 guys graduating? What that means for the program?
I think it's big for the program. It tells you that we've done a great job developing them in the classroom, developing them on the field. I think it's impressive to have, what do we have, 6 guys at the combine? I mean, 6 guys at the combine is pretty strong. Now, they got to all get drafted, but, they earned the right to be there. They're obviously productive on the field. They made plays, and, you look at, you had 5 on offense and 1 on defense, I believe, that were at the combine, and, whatever, players make plays. And, those guys at the combine are guys that, you look at how explosive our offense was when you got 5 guys going to the draft. If it was 3-3, maybe you feel better, but when it's 5-1, you kind of go, okay, what is it? Maybe a lack of players on one side of the ball that haven't developed like you need to. So that'll happen. That comes with time, and you can't push it. You can't push an easy fix button. But I think it's huge for the program that those guys represent us at the combine. And there's some other guys. Matt Galambos wasn't there. I can't wait to watch him go in there and impress. I mean, there's going to be some other guys that. I've seen guys get drafted and be in the NFL for a year, and I've seen guys be free agents and walk into an NFL camp and be there for 5, 6, 7 years.
You're not surprised that the grades and the evaluation that a lot of teams are having of Nathan Peterman?
No, not surprised at all. I mean, just put on the tape, watch the games. But sometimes people got to see it. It's just like sometimes we watch tape of a high school kid, and maybe you don't see as much as you want. But then when you see him live in your camp, or at the Senior Bowl, that you kind of go, whoa, it is real. He's a good quarterback.
And you have a new director of player personnel. Can you talk about the new guy and how that all came about?
Dan has left and had some other opportunities that he wanted to investigate, and we moved in a different direction. We appreciate everything Dan's done really in the last 2 years here for us. We thank him for his efforts, and we wish him luck in the future. But we're fired up about Graham and really the ability that he has to maybe take our recruiting in a little bit different direction. And we're excited about him. We interviewed a few guys for the job, and I'm excited. In just the last couple of days of work we've got in here, some of the new structural changes, and I think change is always good, and it'll make us all better. So we're excited about Graham.
Any update if you're going to get Zach Gilbert back?
Not really, not right now. I mean, we're getting second opinions to find out. Good question, but right now it's status quo until someone tells us it's different. Unfortunately.
What are your expectations for Kazon Q in your position?
You know what? High expectations, right? I mean, another one of those guys. You asked about Kazon, Aliquippa guy. He's always got a big smile on his face. He's big. He's physical. He can run, and the guy can really run. So we just, if you look at him, he might be a little bit bigger. Juan Price. That's our expectations. We're going to turn him into a Juan Price. If he can do that, we're excited about him. So he's got a lot of work to do. He's starting off, but he's very enthusiastic about the move. He's kind of talked about it at the end of last season, like, Coach, I think I want to try that. I want to get to the quarterback, and he's raw. But I know Coach Partridge is excited about working with him. He's looked great in our morning workouts, fourth quarter workouts. So it'll be interesting. You don't know what you have yet. He's a guy that could still play running back. He's a guy that could play linebacker, and he can play D end. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this, but he was a scout team tailback for a lot of weeks during the season, where he just went back and played tailback because we need a big physical tailback depending on who we're playing. And the only negative thing I can ever say about Kazon is his ball security is awful. You guys wouldn't want to see it. He carries the ball out like this, but he can run. But we got to work on his ball security.
For when you recover fumbles? Yeah,
that's right.
What's the process been like installing the new offense? I mean, I know you're familiar with it, but the last.
I think it's been good. I think you find that out after spring ball how smooth it was. I mean, the great thing is you got coaches that know our players. I think that's always the hardest part is knowing what you have and who they are, and what button to push on each kid to make sure you get the best out of them. So I think it's been going well.
Got a little off the wall question.
That doesn't surprise me.
In the past, in the spring especially, there's been some two-sport athletes, especially at Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, there hasn't been too many of them. Have you had much experience with two-sport athletes, especially in the spring? And have you had anybody come to you since you've been at Pitt about doing something else?
Why? You have somebody you know something I don't know?
No, I don't.
We've had some two-sport guys. I can't think. The last one I can really remember. We had a Deion Sims who he might be with the Bears now. He was with the Miami Dolphins. Played basketball for about a month until his grades went like that. Then we had to get him back up and pulled him off the basketball team. We had a John Bowie played corner for us, and then ended up playing for the Raiders for a cup of coffee there. But he ran track. He actually played in a spring game or spring scrimmage on a Saturday, and then ran track in the afternoon. And he's really fast. Those are two of the latest ones, but lately you don't hear about it, you don't get much of it. But if players want to do that, I have no problem. We've had guys that wanted to play baseball. Matter of fact, Nick Goldsmith talked last year about wanting, hey, can I try out for the baseball team? And I said, sure, go at it. Go see if you can help Joe. I think it's great if you can go around, run track, whatever it may be. Basketball players, put Dane Jackson out there. It's going to call coach up and say, you need Dane.
You haven't had anybody come to you this year?
Not that I can remember. No, Nick's the only guy I can think of that did, but nobody other than that.
Who's your long snapper?
Who's our long snapper? We don't know yet. It's another interesting, Pat Quirin did a great job for us, and it's another spot that's open. We've got a young freshman coming in. Conrad Brake is a guy that we brought in a year ago that's developing. We're going to find out if he can do it under pressure. So the opportunity's open. Nate Bossery's done a good job at really learning it. I'm not sure if he ever snapped before a year ago, but for last year he'd sit after practice while you guys are talking to somebody. He'd be out there for 15, 25 minutes out on the field just practicing, and really has gotten to be pretty proficient. So we're going to find out if he can do it when someone's rushing him, and I think that's a big question mark.
Is one of the things you have to sort of do with those redshirt freshman guys is find out if they have a fit on special teams in the spring?
They better. They better. I think we know who's got the ability to do. I think anytime you got a bunch of young, Theron Coleman, Henry Miller, those are all guys that if they don't end up starting, they should be starters on all special teams. And I mentioned those two just because they hit me first. There's probably somebody on Bryson Gardner. There's a bunch of them. All those guys need to be on special teams. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a 5-minute team meeting. We're going to go right into a special teams meeting, and this room will be full with specialists that should be able to be on the punt team and kickoff team and cover kicks. Period. So I think we have more of those this year than we had last year. But it's a matter of teaching them and making sure they know what they're doing when they get out on the field. But when you're a redshirt freshman, you better love special teams. That's all part of the team.